College football is back this Saturday. Week 0 gives bettors their first real chance to attack the 2026 season. But opening week college football is also one of the easiest places to make bad bets. Why? Because we don't have current season game film yet. We have new quarterbacks, transfer portal movement, coaching changes, and rebuilt offensive lines. And sportsbooks are trying to price teams before we've seen them play a meaningful snap. So before I bet college football week 0, there are several things I'm looking at. First, I start with the betting number. I don't care how much better one team looks on paper. I care whether that team is worth betting at the available spread. A favorite can win by 3 touchdowns and still be a losing wager if you're laying 30 or 40 points. That's why the first question isn't, who's better? It's, is this team worth betting at this number? Next, I look closely at the quarterback situation. Returning experience matters, especially this early in the season. But I'm also looking at offensive system familiarity, pressure performance, mobility, and turnover risk. I'm also watching the offensive line protecting that quarterback. A talented quarterback behind a rebuilt offensive line can have a much harder week 0 than people expect. That brings me to one of the biggest factors in early season college football. Roster turnover. The transfer portal has changed the way these games need to be handicapped. Last year's statistics don't mean nearly as much. If half of the important players responsible for those numbers are gone, I want to know who returned, who transferred out, who transferred in, and which position groups have the most continuity. And I pay particular attention to the trenches. Offensive line communication is incredibly important early in the season. If one team is replacing several starters up front while the opponent returns an experienced defensive line, that can affect everything from the running game to quarterback pressure and turnovers. Coaching changes also matter. A new head coach, offensive coordinator, or defensive coordinator can completely change tempo and play calling. It can change formations, coverage responsibilities, and fourth down decisions. The question isn't whether the new system sounds good in August. It's whether the personnel actually fits that system when another team is lined up across from them. Week 0 also gives us some unusual situations. North Carolina and TCU are opening the season in Dublin, Ireland. Now we're dealing with long-distance travel, time zone changes, neutral site preparation, and altered routines. Those things don't automatically create a bet, but they absolutely belong in the handicap. Another thing I'm careful with is preseason rankings. A ranked team isn't automatically a good bet. Sportsbooks know which programs bettors recognize. They know which teams attract public money. So I'm never betting a logo or a ranking. I'm betting the matchup and the price. Then I build the expected game script. Who should control the line of scrimmage? Which offense should play faster? What happens if the favorite gets ahead early? Can the underdog still function if it's forced to throw? How aggressive will the favorite remain with a big second-half lead? Those questions are especially important when you're dealing with large week 0 spreads. And before any wager becomes official, I ask the same question I ask with every football bet. How does this bet lose? If there are too many realistic paths to failure, I don't need the action. I can pass. That's important this week because football finally being back can make bettors feel like they need to bet every game. You don't. Week 0 has a small slate. That makes it easier to study every matchup and wait for the best opportunity. At Pappy's Playbook, I'm evaluating quarterback play, coaching, the trenches, and roster turnover. I'm also evaluating injuries, travel, and expected game script. I'm evaluating market movement and, most importantly, the betting number. If everything lines up, we have a potential wager. If it doesn't, we pass. Follow Pappy's Playbook throughout the 2026 college football season for betting analysis, official picks, and documented results.